he's a very positive brother. We've known each other. We've been in each other's sphere and circle. We went to a men's spiritual retreat together. But we know each other because of the community work we've been doing. But I ran into this brother he works at a local bookstore, an African-centered bookstore called Sankofa. And I was coming up there to do a lecture presentation or talk about doing a lecture presentation. And then he let me know what the work that he's been doing. And this is the work that he's been doing. And I was like, wow, this is totally amazing. Let me help you get the word out. So that's what this panel is about. This brother is up here talking about, discussing, the work that's been done so far, the importance of the work, and essentially informing us on a very historical moment in time. Like, because at the moment, I don't know how many other spaces have statues of Garvey. And Garvey was very
we can talk.
Black history.
Whenever you're ready, I'm about to turn my video on, just getting a space, trying to sit outside.
All right, Bob.
Area where I still have a plug. So it looks like I'm here. I'm about to put my video on.
All right. Can you all hear him? All right. Okay, Baba, come out. We're ready. So go ahead and introduce yourself, and I'm gonna give the floor over to you, and I'll just ask questions as they come along or as other people have them.
All right, peace and blessings, everyone. Just getting myself settled a bit. I really want to thank Priest Amen for inviting me here to speak with you all today. My name is Kamal Grimes, Kamal Malik Grimes. You might see it says, I don't know what my thing says, Kamal Malik. Yeah. So originally when I first came on, there was a title that said Baba Kamal. And that only reason it said that is because I work at an African-centered school here in DC.
Okay, Brother Kamal, hold on.
And,
Ayana, you got to go downstairs with that. Go downstairs. Go ahead, Baba.
Yeah. So the only reason why it said Baba Kamal is because instead of using Mr. and Mrs., in the school, all the male teachers are called Baba, so-and-so, and the women teachers are called Mama. And that's just, Baba is like a father. So once you get to a certain age, I just turned 30, but I've been working at the school since I was 26. So then they started calling me Baba Kamal. But that's only in school, really. So I'm not anybody's Baba here. We're all on the same level. It's just when like the Watoto, the kids, when they're like, they're kids. They're 6 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old. So yeah, to them, I am their Baba,
That's
essentially
true,
they could be, yeah. So, but that's not what we're here to talk about today.
Right. Sorry, brother.
All right. So today I'm here to talk to you about an opportunity to get involved with a project called the Marcus Garvey Bronze Project. And what it is it's an initiative that was initiated by a mentor of mine by the name of Yao Davis. He is the executive director of a nonprofit organization called the Pan-African Technical Association. And what the Pan-African Technical Association, they specialize in providing technical education to Africans in the diaspora and in the continent. So he's based in LA, but he spends a lot of time in Ghana and Ethiopia and traveling. He has property in those places. They've done educational work. Here's a brother calling me now, most likely about the bronze, and I have to decline his call because I'm on the call with you guys, and I'll call him back. But yeah, so he initiated it, and then we reached out to Dr. Julius Garvey, who, I've known for a few years. Oh, hold on, I'm actually doing it. Hold on 1 second, brothers and sisters.
All right, so Dr. Julius Garvey is Marcus Garvey's son. So this is what he's talking about. Because I know Marcus Garvey's, I guess his grandson or something. I know he's here in DC He and I.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, go ahead, brother.
No, yeah, I'm back. So, so Marcus Garvey had two sons. Marcus Garvey Jr., who actually just passed in December. He was about 91 or 2. And then his younger brother, Dr. Julius Garvey, who's actually 87. See, Marcus Garvey, he was born in 1887. However, he had children late in life. And so actually, Dr. Julius Garvey, who I'm working with, his father, Marcus Garvey, he passed when he was only about 5 years old. So, or 7 years old, I want to say, because yeah, Dr. Garvey is born in 1933 and Marcus Garvey passed in 1940. So that's why it's like, you're like, is it his grandson, great-grand? No, I mean, it's actually his son. You know, I mean, it's rare that you would think that somebody's born, like somebody like Marcus Garvey, who's in our history books, that his son would be walking the earth today. I mean, so because we know Marcus Garvey, most of his organization, the Universal Negro Improvement Association, it was founded in 1914. He brought it to the United States in 1916. You know, and in its heyday, I mean, it had hundreds of chapters in at least over 40 countries across the world. So I do want to, let me share my screen and I can share the website with you guys. Hold on.
So if anybody has any questions for the brother, this is a live conversation. Come on up and feel free to ask later on, and we'll make sure it gets across.
So this is our website, marcusgarveybronze.org. And we're using the hashtag Garvey Goes Home. And we're saying, bringing the right, excellent, honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, one of the pillars of Pan-Africanism, home to the continent he loved. And so, yes, our purpose is the mission of the Marcus Garvey Bronze Sculpture Project is to erect a monument of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey in Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa. In his lifetime, Mr. Garvey never set foot on African soil, but by erecting the Marcus Garvey Bronze Sculpture in Addis Ababa, we will not only honor the legacy of one of the architects of Pan-African independence movement, but will also highlight Ethiopia as a focal point for Pan-Africanists to engage in constructing a unifying African heritage and destiny. And the petition, so the idea of Marcus Garvey Bronze Sculpture Project was initiated as a result of a meeting held at the African Union headquarters in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, in the office of His Excellency Kwesi Kwarteng, the Deputy Chairperson of the African Union Commission. And we can read more about that. You can go on the website and find that. But what I was saying, my mentor, Yao Davis, he not only does he work with the Pan-African Technical Association, but he has been going back and forth to Ethiopia for over 20 years. And in 2016, he was given the honorary title of Ethiopian Tourism Ambassador. And so in 26, so one of his initiatives is to bring more people to Ethiopia. One thing that he did in 2016 was we erected a sculpture of John C. Robinson in the Ethiopian Aviation Academy in Addis Ababa. Now, John C. Robinson, he was one of the earliest, he's one of the fathers of Black aviation, not only in United States, but also in Ethiopia. So John Robinson, he was a graduate of Tuskegee University in the early 20s. He actually was one of the first licensed pilots. Not Bessie Coleman was the first, but he was one of the first licensed pilots in the United States. He actually went in the 1930s. There was an invasion of Ethiopia by the fascist Italian government. And at this point, Ethiopia was the last remaining independent African nation. And so a lot of people, many of them were members of Garvey's organization or inspired by the work of Garvey. they actually signed up, and people wanted to fight on behalf of the Ethiopians against the invasion. Most were never able to go, but John Robinson actually went, and he was a personal pilot to Emperor Haile Selassie. He fought against the Italians. He flew reconnaissance missions, delivering articles, and he flew old French planes that had been donated to Ethiopia, and they didn't have. He was flying against, at the time, Italy was one of the most advanced, if not the most advanced, air force in the world. And Italy came back in 1940, in 1930s, to re-invade Ethiopia because they failed initially in 1896. They were defeated at the Battle of Ottawa. So Ethiopia, especially since Ethiopia is a very ancient name. I don't want to get too deep into it, but the name Ethiopia can be found. Okay, well, the name Ethiopia can be found as far back as Greco-Roman days. It's one of the things that I'm trying to think who actually said this, but I can't think of who said this. But this was a sentiment of a lot of scholars in the early 20th century, where they realized that the word Negro is ahistorical, and so when you look at Negro is a creation of this transatlantic slave trade process, that word being used and applied to Africans. So when you look in ancient days, like before the time of Christ, and when you look at the so-called classical age, what you will see is that the word Ethiopian was the word that was used to describe African people, to describe Black people, whether they were in Africa or not, actually. And so Ethiopia comes from a Greek root of burnt. It means burnt face, Ethiops, burnt face. And that from their perspective, that's what dark-skinned people were. Their faces were, I guess, burnt from the skin, but it wasn't from the sun. It wasn't necessarily a derogatory term, because they actually had a lot of reverence and respect for Ethiopia. So one thing that I'll tie it in this way, and then I'll bring it up to Garvey, and then if people have questions. One thing that scholars in this country, African-American scholars, especially during the slavery period and afterwards, did was, one thing we were forbidden to do was to read. Now, those of us who were able to read for whatever reason, by hook or by crook, they say, however, they were able to read. Most of the books that we were able to get our hands on, well, the first book the most prevalent book that we were able to get our hands on was the Bible. Then if you were more advanced, then you would have access to European literature, right? And if you were really advanced, maybe if you were free, there are a lot of free Black people as well, especially in the Northeast. And they were able to get a hold of Homer, some of the classical writings. Homer is considered the first published, or the father of writing for Europeans. He wrote the Odyssey and the Iliad, or it's said that he wrote that, and that was about around 1000 BC. Africans have been writing for at least 3,000 years longer than that in the Nile Valley. But that's an aside. But in terms of, when you look at the earliest writers like Homer, he actually writes about Ethiopians in a very highly respectable manner. And a lot of the Greek scholars like Diodorus, Sicelus, and Strabo, and others, they spoke of Ethiopia on a very high level. I don't have all the quotes to go down the line right now. This isn't really the platform to do that. But just to show you the significance of Ethiopia, and then to tie it into, so essentially when we learned how to read, and when we discovered ourselves, that we were discovering ourselves through the word Ethiopia. When we look in the Bible, Ethiopia is mentioned 41 times. In fact, the only pharaoh mentioned by name in the Bible is Taharka, who was a Cushite pharaoh, who the Cushites, the 25th dynasty, they took over Egypt. And that's the only dynasty that Eurocentric Egyptologists say it was ruled by Black people. So there was and that we know that all of them were Black, but at the same time, this is the one where indisputably they came up from Sudan, and Sudan was known as Ethiopia. So even modern day Ethiopia is not necessarily the only geographic region that was known as Ethiopia. So Ethiopia is kind of like a symbol. There's a specificity to it, and there's a generality to it that allows for that has a Pan-African tradition to it. And Garvey was a part of that. If you read a lot of his writings, he'll use Ethiopia interchangeably with Negro, and especially when speaking of it in a high, especially when speaking of Africa in a very honorable light. So the last thing I'll say about Garvey and Ethiopia before I go into the project is the national anthem of the Universal Negro Improvement Association was called the Universal Ethiopian Anthem. And so we can get into that later. But essentially, it's only fitting that we bring Garvey home to Africa, and we bring him home to Ethiopia, which was the only nation that was really able to escape the claws of colonialism. Now, they didn't go unscratched at all by any stretch of the imagination. They were definitely impacted in a major way as well. So I don't know everyone's knowledge on Garvey, but one thing I want to say as I get to the part where I can show what the prototype of the sculpture is, that Mr. Garvey, he organized the largest mass movement of Black people known in history, into over 6 million people in the organization at its height. This is a page that we have on the website that just has certain music videos and songs honoring Marcus Garvey. But the one I want to show is this. This is actually the sculpture. This is it has to be bronze. There's a bronzing process that has to take place, but this is the sculpting process, and I want to share that with you. So this is hopefully everyone can see this, but this is the artist. His name is Nigel Lloyd Benz. He's based out of Los Angeles, California.
He's a Black artist,
actually is also, it's this Black brother. This is this brother.
Yeah, I know, but you know what they did with Martin Luther King?
What did they do?
Brother, the Greeks, they went out and got the Chinese to create Martin Luther King statue.
Okay, well, Dad, we're not doing that. This is a brother that we know who's done. He did the John Robinson sculpture as well. I mean, he's done several. I mean, you can see he's doing the one of Haile Selassie. He's done several. So you may also definitely check out Nigel Lloyd Benz. He's acclaimed. Yeah, he's done some good work. He's done a lot of sculptures. So the process does cost money, though, and this is what we're involved in. I'm going to speak on the fundraising and then speak on the tour and the Education Symposium. Then I want to just open it up completely.
We got a little controversial question that I actually got reprimanded for what I did to the brother, but it's okay. Well, I'll ask you in a second.
In terms of the question, can we hold off on it? I'm willing to answer a controversial question, but I just want to finish the initial presentation. Okay. So our fundraising goals. Because this is where we need the most help. And so it is our goal our goal is 39,000. So far, we've raised about 10 to 12,000. how much did we raise? 10 or 12. I need to actually do the accounting. I need to look at what it is, but we're somewhere between 10 and 12,000 that we've raised. And so we need to get the additional 39,000. Now, in terms of getting it at the African Union, it's very likely that we won't install it at the African Union this year, but we do have 2 backup locations, and we're meeting with the African Union, working with them, but it's a lot of bureaucracy in those types of multilateral organizations like the African Union. So we're in conversations with them, but they thinking that process may take an additional year before we could actually get it in the African Union. It's still a possibility we can get it, because there's 2 approaches that you can go with the African Union. You have the top-down approach where like the presidents could just, vote for it and say, yes, we want it, and then it could just happen very quickly. Or the bottom-up approach where we have to build support from within the different bodies like CEDAW, which is the Citizens and Diaspora Directorate, which is they're a department that's supposed to work with the diaspora. And so, we're pretty much doing the bottom-up approach. However, we do have a museum in Ethiopia at the Institute of Ethiopian Studies in the former palace of Haile Selassie. They would like to host us, or there's another museum, the Africa Unbound Museum, which is a Pan-Africanist museum, also in Ethiopia, that would house the statue for a year while we continue to politic with the African Union. So August 17th is Marcus Garvey's birthday. We've been working on this project. We've been having weekly conference calls since last February. And so you can definitely donate on the site here. It's tax deductible. And I want to go over some of our sponsors. Not really sponsors, but really people who are working on this, because sponsor Ethiopia, they haven't given any money necessarily. So Ethiopian Airlines, Strictly Roots, which is an organization out of Jamaica, the Garvey Institute for Human Development. This is Dr. Julius Garvey's organization, and this is Dr. Julius right here.
So let's look at Dr. Julius. So that's Marcus Garvey's son right there.
Yeah, and there's several videos. I mean, he's actually a surgeon in New York. He's retired now, but he was a ventricular surgeon. So he worked on veins and arteries.
Wow.
Surgery on veins and arteries, and he's very accomplished as well. True Culture University, the African American Legacy Foundation, Pan-African Technical Association, and also the National Association of Kawaida Organizations, some brothers, people out of New York working. They've also been supportive. It is. So we're working with one of the Dr. Shegun Shabaka out of New York. He's been very instrumental in helping us get the tour and a lot of other things together. Now, speaking of the tour, so there's the 2 ways that you all can support is you can join us in Ghana and Ethiopia this summer, and or you can also donate to the bronze. So let's click on the tour. Okay, that's the reservation. So the tour is August 13th to the 24th, $3,990. And I'll get into the itineraries, partially Ghana, partially Ethiopia. Let me get into, click on that too. Here we go. Okay, so this is, because this brochure is made to be folded, it's kind of in the wrong order. So I'll just start here. 2021 Marcus Garvey Pan-African Tour, Ghana and Ethiopia. We spent about 4 days in Ethiopia and then about 6 days in Ghana. I'm going to come back to this later because obviously I think people may be interested in this, but I just wanted to show you all this firsthand. And then the last thing to show you before I just completely stop talking, we can have more of a conversation, is the Education Symposium that we're doing with the tour. So in Ethiopia, as well as in Ghana, we're going to set aside about 2 or 3 hours on a single day to basically have a symposium on Pan-Africanism and the legacy of Garvey. So right now we're doing a call for papers. And this is where True Culture University is they're sponsoring this. And there's a brother named Miles Henderson, who's also, I'm more of the program, I'm like a program assistant on this project, but Yao Davis and Miles Henderson are the program managers, and they're in Ethiopia right now.
Brother Paul, I have
so
a
they're
question.
managing from the ground.
What do you mean a call for papers? What does that mean?
This is what it means. We want people to submit papers. Let me see, where does he say it on here?
I would be super interested in that, because that's the best way.
Yeah, this is what it is. And there's like 5 different topics. I think this is the right. Okay, here we go. So this is the page that's most relevant. So the Marcus Garvey Education Symposium call for papers. Papers are going to be due July 31st. The theme of the call for papers for the Marcus Garvey Education Symposium is revisiting of Garveyism and its current implications for the strategies of the global Black world today. Black college students from any academic level globally, and also not just college students. This isn't the final draft, so it's not just college students. Submit a paper. Student levels from bachelor, master's to doctorate are acceptable. Must be written in English. Paper length is maximum 30 pages. Papers can be submitted up to 4 co-authors. All papers must address one of the 5 prompts: global African governmental system, a creation of a global African trade infrastructure, African commercial free trade area, which is an agreement that was just approved by the African Union, and they've been starting to implement that over the past couple of years. The African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Actually,
I thought they passed that.
They did pass it. They passed it.
Okay.
But I'm saying it's now. I mean, just because now it's actually
being implemented.
Now that it exists, yeah, whatever it will be is starting now. You know, they open up the I think it's called the Secretariat in Ghana. So Ghana is basically, because Ghana in a sense is the most Pan-African country.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Maybe some people would argue with that, but I haven't seen anyone more, honestly. And Kwame Nkrumah actually put the Black Star in his flag because the Ghanaian flag, as an honor to Marcus Garvey and the Black Star line of ships that were to bring Black people back to Africa. Okay. A global African education system and state of the African space industry. I believe, yeah. So there are more detailed descriptions of the call for papers here, but we don't need to go into that now. We've been working really hard, and I give kudos, honestly, mostly to Yao Davis and Miles Henderson, because Miles has done a wonderful, wonderful job on all of this stuff. So it was really, really a team effort, and I'm just one person on the team.
Okay. Well, we have at least one person, and I'm kind of interested as well in submitting a paper. So that's very informative. Brother, are you ready for a question?
Oh yeah, I'm ready for all the questions.
We call it smoke.
I've said everything I needed to say before, Yeah.
So all right, I think I got one person who had some smoke for you on that. So earlier
Okay.
earlier in the conversation while you were talking, I didn't tell you, but someone talked about how Marcus Garvey viewed Haile Selassie. So what do you know about Marcus?
Oh yeah, that's very good. That's very good. I know about that.
Okay, what's up?
What did he say? What's the exact question though? I want to hear it.
Well, it wasn't a question as much as like he said Marcus Garvey viewed Haile Selassie as a coward.
Okay. So Marcus Garvey, he did have a lot of respect for Haile Selassie for a long time. And Marcus Garvey is not the only person that viewed Haile Selassie as a coward. Even a lot of the warriors and people in Ethiopia viewed him as a coward because he's the first standing king to ever flee the country in the time of war. But see, what I think that what Marcus Garvey was very in your face and upfront. And that's another reason why he broadcast his plans, out there, which is a gift. That's why he was able to reach everyone, because he put his stuff out there, but also he became a target, and you saw how he was targeted and undermined in a way because of that. So I think with Haile Selassie, he did what he had to do to keep his country. He played the diplomatic role, because you got to look at it. War is more than just fighting. Politics is also war. Diplomacy is the war before the war starts. So he basically got public opinion on his side by going to England, stroking their egos, politicking with them. And at the end of the day, England, the warriors, I'll give all credit to the warriors of Ethiopia. They never stopped fighting. And all my friends, they would never let me live down saying that part. But I will always tell them, it's like, at the same time, they didn't really. Italy did occupy the country. Yeah, they were having a tough time managing it, and perhaps I'm saying this for all my Ethiopians that I love and respect. Perhaps the warriors would have been able to defeat the Italians eventually and get them out of the country without the help of the British. But that's a hypothetical situation. The reality is the British came in there and got obviously using Sudanese soldiers or Ethiopian soldiers and themselves fighting. They're the ones that helped to bring, Italy out of there during World War II. And then they helped reestablish the monarchy. So, yeah, people have that to say about Haile Selassie. And the Garvey he did criticize. At the African Union currently, so we wouldn't be bringing Garvey to Ethiopia because of Haile Selassie. Ethiopia is much more than Haile Selassie. I love Haile Selassie, personally, but that's not the reason why Ethiopia we'll bring it to. It's because Ethiopia has the African Union. African Union is it's a collection of all the African nations. So if you can tap the African Union, then you have the ear of all Africa. So we're Pan-Africanists. So that's why we wanted to go there. And then also the legacy of what we said about Ethiopia at one point was a metonym, and sometimes it still is a term for all of Africa, as well. So there, yeah.
So that's
my answer to that.
That's definitely a good response, because that was kind of one of my questions as well, but thank you for clarifying that, because that's important to know that it's definitely there for political, cultural reasons. And then we can also say spiritual as well. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that, because other people, I think, it might have been too hard, but I just, thank you for that. But here's a question. Here's a question.
Actually, and I want to kind of piggyback on that, but I'm hesitant because I don't want to go too deep into that discussion. But
wait, Queen Stats, can you hear her, brother Kamal?
I can hear her.
Okay, cool. Go ahead, Queen Stats. That's awesome.
First, very nice to meet you, Brother Kamal. Super, super excited to even be like a part of this discussion. But as far as Selassie relates and going to Britain for relief, in a sense, would it be hard to say that during that time, the ability for him to flex and use Great Britain in that sense to save him and pull him out could that not be viewed as a show of strength as well? Like, is it possible that he just didn't handle that situation correctly? Because I mean, if I could just get white people to come and save me, just if I fall into something, I think that's kind of deep. But it's almost as if he's criticized heavily for being able to do that, especially by Garvey. That's why I'm kind of asking that question.
Oh yeah, and this is 100%. I'm so happy you asked that question, and this is why I love history, and because people had beef in their day in their time, but we don't have to carry on their beef to today. Or like people had criticisms back then, but we have the benefit of taking all of it and applying it to our situation now. I mean, people may know, Du Bois and Garvey had, qualms. In fact, they said some nasty things about one another in their own in their publications. I mean, people talk about. Well, I don't want to get too far into that, but these are people that today we can still.
It'll be good if you.
I mean, you see the same thing happening today.
As much as you can do, if it adds to it, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Yeah. Because I mean, you got to look at it. I mean, they were name calling, and things like that. And we get very passionate about our way. We think our way is the way, and it's like, I mean, it may be, but no matter what, it's just reality. Everybody's not going to agree with you. So, I mean, that's just what it is. So, and I view it as a showing of strength to a certain extent. I mean, and that's why I think his legacy, great men and great women, great people, they make decisions. They make tough decisions. And they know they're going to be criticized for their decisions, but they stand by their decisions regardless. And I mean, history sometimes vindicates them, and sometimes, it doesn't. But if you look at Garvey, I mean, people are into Judas and the Black Messiah, that movie that came out. But before Judas and the Black Messiah, before the FBI even existed, they used the 8 federal agents to infiltrate the UNIA. I mean, Garvey survived a few assassination attempts. I mean, it's not like they didn't try to kill him. He just didn't die, So they took him another route. They got him on so-called mail fraud. I mean, and it was complete bogus, but you got to look at it. They wanted him out of the country. His movement was making traction. Now, yeah, I honestly wish that Garvey and Selassie could have, come together and work together. But that's what we're here to do today, is to bridge the gap between the different sides. At least that's what I view my work as. I feel like if we have to learn from what people did before, we can't necessarily carry on their differences of opinion.
Right. One of the things that I'm coming to understand and coming to learn in some of this social media work that I've been doing, social media engagement, is seeing how entrenched people are in their ideologies, and how they want to use those ideologies to separate themselves instead of trying to figure out ways in which we can come together and work together to move the global African community forward, in space and time, wherever we find people of African descent. So that's one thing I've been noticing a lot of, and how entrenched, our community is in separation, so it's definitely work that has to be done, and something that we all have to continue. Well, those of us that have the time, energy, and the effort to try to unify the community, we have to continue to work in those efforts. And so that brings me to my next question I wanted to have for you. Like, what is the significance of this dedication of Garvey's statue?
I'm very happy you asked that question. The significance is to get us a foothold into influencing, African policy, really, and get us a foothold into engagement into the world, to the daily affairs of what's going on in Africa and in the diaspora. Garvey always looked at Africa as an anchor for her children across the world. So if Africa is strong, then everywhere where Africans find themselves, that we will have a support and a strong homeland, like a backbone. really. And so recently, over the last 10 years or so, the African Union has paid a lot of lip service to the diaspora being the sixth region. They've separated Africa into the six different regions: north, south, east, west, central, and then the sixth region is the diaspora. So they break the diaspora is kind of broken up into two different parts, though, because you have those people who, one, maybe they were born in Africa and they left Africa, moved to Europe, moved to the Americas, moved to Asia or whatever, right? They are part of the diaspora because they're abroad, they're outside of Africa. You also have their children, right, who they were born in America, but their parents came from Africa, directly from a specific country in Africa. Speaking of specific countries, these specific countries, most of them are a result of the Berlin Conference in 1884 and 1885, where they divided Africa into these different zones of European influence to essentially stave off World War between the European powers, which they were only able to hold off for about 70 years, actually, you can see, because World War II, well, first of all, World War I broke out, so they were only able to stave it off for like 20, 25 years, and then it took it another 20 before they had to go to World War again. But that's really what the Berlin Conference was. It was just to say, okay, when France and Britain, they're both trying to take over Africa. So when they find each other in Africa, they won't kill each other. They say, okay, France, you get this area, and Britain, you get that area. So that way, we don't kill each other.
Brother,
so that's what that was about, yeah.
So you said now the African Union sees the diaspora as the sixth region of Africa. Is that what you said that, right?
Yes. So there's everyone can look this up. You can go on the African Union's website and especially check out this document called Agenda 2063. Agenda 2063. It was written in 2013 and it was the African Union 50-year plan. So that's where they outline sixth region. That's where they talked about the African free continent, the free trade, Africa continental free trade area. They talk about what they want to do in the next 50 years. So everything that the African Union is doing fits under that framework. And so this is how we're operating in terms of, okay, well, you guys say that we're the sixth region. So yeah, that gets me into the diaspora. So that's that diaspora. They have direct ties to Nigeria, a country that, is creation of Britain. They have direct ties to Ethiopia, which essentially Ethiopia is that part of Africa that wasn't gobbled up by the Europeans. Or Kenya, their parents came from Kenya. So they have a direct tie, they have a strong tie to their country of origin. Whereas I can speak for myself, people who were descendants of the enslaved Africans, whether in the Caribbean, South America, or United States, our people were taken from Africa during a time where there was Nigeria didn't even exist, or Ghana. These countries didn't even exist in the way that they exist now. I did some of my ancestry and found out that I came from the Fulani people and the Hausa people, the Tikar, and all around Cameroon. That's where I share a lot of genetic similarity with people from that area, and also Equatorial Guinea, the Bubi people, which the island, I didn't even know this island existed until I actually found out I was from there. Bioko Island, which is right off the coast of Cameroon, but it's politically a part of Equatorial Guinea, which, fun fact, it's one of the only, that and Western Sahara were the only African countries that were colonized by the Spanish. So they actually speak Spanish in Equatorial Guinea.
Can we just to piggyback off of that?
Yeah, because now you got me going.
I know, brother.
You said I could go in, so I was
brother, I want you to go in as much as you want. It's totally all to the good. But can we kind of say that? Can we say the sixth, by the African Union declaring the diaspora has the sixth region? Is that kind of like a metaphorical ship the Africans sending back to Africans in America to bring them back and to include them again into the African conversation? Is that, can we kind of say that metaphorically?
Yes, I mean, you could look at 2019, which was the year of return, you know, for Ghana. I mean, and now I saw Sierra Leone is doing it, and Gambia, they're giving people citizenship, and so that's Garvey is known. People used to make fun of Garvey because and they minimize the work of Garvey as he's the Back to Africa guy. I mean, there's even a book that came out about Garvey called it's called like Black Man with a Hat or something like that. I hate that title, honestly. But it's because, I guess it's the pomp and circumstance. I mean, and I do kind of want to show some of those pictures. But yeah, to answer your question in short, yes. I mean, Garvey built ships. Yeah, let me share. I want to share some images of Garvey because people used to get on Garvey and call him a buffoon because he was very grandiose, and he was a fan of the what's it called, pageantry, you know. But really, I mean, he brought so much pride into our people. I mean, so many of our people really don't like being Black, you know. They're trying to wiggle their way out of it, some way, shape, or form. They really took. I mean, even if they want to like it, it's
Brother Kamal,
ingrained.
I think you have a question. What'd you say, Sister Stats?
No, I'm just like, he's so point on, but I'm hearing some background noise and feedback and some like extra like. I just want to make sure we hear him cool.
My bad.
No, that was from my end.
Literally. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, so the Garvey, he was known for wearing his hat, right, and dressing up in military regalia and things of that nature because he was trying to remind us of nationhood. And I didn't speak on that as much because I was so caught up in the details. But the point of Garvey was the UNIA was actually supposed to be a provisional government for Africa. And for African people around the world. He said that we didn't have any, he traveled extensively throughout Central and South America and Europe. And he said that Black people had no protection. Everywhere he went, he saw that we were at the bottom and that we were struggling. And, you know, we were the hewers of water and the drawers of, hewers of wood and drawers of water, however that phrase goes, right? And so he had a lot of parades and a lot of plays and performances. Excuse me. But yeah, he had a repatriation plan, and they were working primarily with Liberia, but it was that was sabotaged as well. But here, all members of the Universal Negro Improvement Association who desire to go to Liberia, West Africa, to settle to help in the industrial, commercial, and cultural development of the country, and who intend sailing September, October, December 1924, almost 100 years, January, February, March, April, May 1925 are requested to send in for applications for them to be filled out. And so what happened was they tried to say that these things were a fraud, you know, that Garvey couldn't really deliver on what he was saying, but that's because he bought ships that were sabotaged by the people who sold it. I mean, he had agents infiltrated his industries.
Wasn't one of the captains of the ship, he worked for the federal government, didn't he?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, thank you.
I was like, dang, but you know, when you become an activist in the community, it's just like, you know, I was told you have to just know if you have a room of more than 50 people, you just gotta assume 2 or more agents. I was told that, you know, a long time ago. You just have to assume 2 or more agents. And right now, it's even more intense because they don't even need to be agents because our cell phone is an agent.
Yeah. Well, maybe that'll help people not be agents. But yeah, a lot of the things that Garvey was talking about 100 years ago, people are catching on to now. I mean, there's so many videos of people. This is a conversation that I would like to hear. If others have questions, I would like to engage in this conversation. Just repatriation to Africa, or the increased engagement of diasporic Africans with the continent. with the technology, as far as virtually, but then also with the technology in terms of transportation. It's so easy for us to get over there now. I know so many people going back and forth. We're able to do things, back in Garvey's day when people were talking about going to Africa, it was a lot bigger of a decision in a sense. Like most people, maybe they were going to move and not necessarily come back. Although people have been traveling back and forth to Africa for a long time from this country. However, now the ease of it is increased. So I'd like to talk about that. And then also not only that, but also the Buy Black campaigns. There's a lot of Buy Black campaigns going on right now. I mean, I'm hearing it on mainstream media, support Black businesses. I mean, I don't watch TV much, but I saw it was like a Bank of America commercial or something that talked about supporting Black business. I was like, okay, whoa.
We definitely live in good times, brother. Wasn't there a Bank of America commercial for Juneteenth last year?
Yeah, it had to be. I mean, it's
crazy.
and we know these things only happen because pressure is on them, and they only do them to relieve the pressure off of them. Right. But I think that we have to look at things like that and just use them as opportunities to galvanize our people. Because unfortunately, some people are going to listen to their favorite celebrity, or they'll give that. They're still in that mindset where they don't believe in Black people that much, really. So if they hear a white person telling them to support Black business, then they'll believe it more. So we got to take everything that we can get. But I just like what it says here. Fellow members of the Negro race, why not support your own industries and help find employment for your race? Exactly. Every penny. And I work for Black institutions. So, I mean, I take this stuff to heart. I bank Black. I mean, once it becomes a part of your lifestyle, I think then it becomes a little bit different. I think for some Black people, it's still a foreign concept. They haven't embedded this 365 degrees of Blackness and self-determination yet into their consciousness. So when you talk certain stuff, it seems far-fetched. But I think more and more people are seeing it with the whole George Floyd eruption. And as someone who does work at a Black bookstore, yeah, we're getting more business now because people are, and they come in, they want to support Black business. Even white people want to support Black business. Like, they're hearing, oh, this is a way that I can this is one way that I can push the ball forward by actually supporting Black business. So every penny or every dollar you spend with the Universal Negro Improvement Association helps to strengthen the financial standing of the race. The more you patronize your own enterprises, the more we will be able to employ more members of our race. Already we employ about 5,000 Negroes all over America and about 4,000 abroad. In New York alone, we employ over 200. If you expect the race to grow financially, if you expect the race to become economically independent, if you expect the race to be respected generally, if you expect us to run more factories and operate more enterprises, if you expect us to employ more Negroes, then you must support the enterprises we have already started. The following enterprises are now operated by the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League. They get into some of them. They had a Universal Negro Improvement Association grocery, Universal the restaurant. They had a factories corporation, a doll making factory, and many, many different things. Sorry, what does it say?
Dope, brother. This is dope.
What does this say? Oh, Universal Tailoring and Dressmaking Department, Universal Negro Improvement Association's Publishing and Printing House. I mean, with publishing and printing, you can tell your own story. Dressmaking and tailoring, you can clothe yourself.
But
yes.
You know how you're saying this, I'm seeing where I'm kind of wondering how much of this, I know there's a lot, but like I'm seeing similar, I recognizing similar activities that were done in the nation of Islam by Elijah Muhammad. So how
Oh
much,
yeah, he was a Garveyite,
yeah,
and he based it off of Garvey. Yes, and
because
he gives the
Elijah
credit to
Muhammad has the
he
exact
gives
same
credit to
setup.
Garvey.
He has almost the exact same setup because he built the nation of Islam with the industries that the NOI had back in the day.
Well, he did the same thing, except he did it under religious nationalism, whereas Garvey is considered universal African nationalism. So Garvey himself was a Christian, but he didn't have he was favorable to Muslims, traditionalists. I mean, that wasn't his thing. He wasn't a pastor or a leader of a religious organization. No.
Yeah. He put it aside to get the job done for the people, basically.
Exactly.
Okay.
This is one of the most famous pictures of Garvey, and this is where they made that thing that the Negro with a hat. But I mean, a lot of Black people in the community didn't like Garvey. And it's these, it's the, oh man, I'm about to go off now because it was the ADOS of their day. I don't know if you guys know ADOS. So I really dislike Black nativist type of talking. I'm a true Pan-Africanist at heart, like 100%. So I really don't care what the national boundary or border is. I hate that type of division. So some people really dislike Garvey because he was from Jamaica. They said, "Why are you coming from Jamaica and you're rousing up all of the American Negroes? You know what I'm saying? You're not even from here." Some of the people who felt like they were supposed to be, their parents worked here. They should be the leaders of Black people, right? They didn't like that Garvey came from Jamaica and was able to get way further and way quicker, right? Because Garvey, he's a descendant of the Maroons. He came from a majority Black country in Jamaica, but he comes from a specific stock of Maroons. They've been independent. So like, imagine you have generations and generations. His father was a stone mason. So his father built with his hands. Like Garvey, he didn't go to college. He took a trade up in printing and as a printing press, and that's how he got a trade through writing and printing and working hard. He worked on docks. He did manual labor, and he worked with his mind. So Garvey was a very, very down to earth brother. This was one of the ships that he bought. Not sure which one this is, but there's one called the Frederick Douglass. He named it the SS Frederick Douglass.
Hey, brother, we have a few people coming into the room. Can you tell us once again what you're working on? This is the app that you're working with. People come into these rooms and they come in and out and they kind of just catch the conversation. We have a good brother here that came into the room who's really about the development of Pan-Africanism and Black nationalism. And so just what are you talking about now?
Okay, so this is a presentation about an effort. You can check this. You can actually see all of this on the website marcusgarveybronze.org. We are raising funds to erect a statue of Marcus Garvey in Ethiopia, and put it at the African Union headquarters in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. We've been working with Dr. Julius Garvey, who is the son of Marcus Garvey, the youngest son of Marcus Garvey, and working with a collection of different nonprofit organizations and community organizations, spearheaded by the Pan-African Technical Association. Two of the members of our team, Yao Davis, who is the leader of the Pan-African Technical Association, and Miles Henderson, who is the leader of the True Culture University. They are in Ethiopia now, and they're handling our operations from Ethiopia. But we have people in LA and New York, Washington, DC, primarily, who are, and Jamaica as well, working on this effort under the guidance of and the blessing of the Garvey family. And so I'm just showing some pictures here of the University Negro Improvement Association, but since we have some people who just came in,
I have a question.
not all of them.
Brother. So there's a big conversation in the community now to disassociate people of African descent in America now with Africa. What do you? How does a Garvey conversation, everything? How does that tie in, or what would you be your views on that? Are you familiar with some of these conversations?
Yeah, you know, I'm a Pan-Africanist at heart, and my master's degree is in African Studies and Research. I was born, my name, I was born Kamal Malik. My parents named me Kamal. I'm, African American, and descendant of the enslaved, and probably some free Black people too. I feel like some of my people just, I have a feeling that some of my people were free as well. But yeah, so for me, it doesn't make sense. Because of my ideology, just because of my identity, I've always had a connection to Africa from my birth. So I never went through a dichotomy that some Black people in this country go through, where they feel separate from Africa. So I honestly cannot relate. It disturbs me to the utmost end when I see divisions being brought between brothers and sisters from the continent and brothers and sisters here. I mean, there's always going to be differences. I mean, one thing, yeah. So that's the way I'll start. If there's anything else to answer the question, then I can add, but I don't.
That was good, brother. That was good. Because there's a lot of conversations. Brothers want to identify.
I don't want to get angry. This is like one conversation that actually makes me upset.
And see, that anger is like where you see that getting angry.
I'm not hearing her. I can't hear. Earlier I was able to hear people, but I can't hear anymore.
I think you did something. You changed something.
Did I do?
The brother Kamal. He can't hear now because I didn't change anything. So now we can't hear you. Kamal.
Okay. Oh no, I was muted. That's why you. Okay, I unplugged my headphones and plugged them back up. I turned the volume on my computer off, so it shouldn't be making any sound. Maybe she can say what she has to say and just tell me what she said.
Okay, so she's saying let me know if I get this right, Sister Stat. She's saying she would enjoy that display of righteous anger, so to speak. Because there's so much. Because no, brother, there's so much. I've termed and coined this word. I'm gonna develop it. Afrophobia, brother. There's so much Afrophobia that we see. Yeah, and I'm definitely gonna coin that term because it's deeply embedded within the consciousness of our people. And then another brother helped me further develop this conversation because I was in a conversation with somebody who said, who was giving me one of these Afrophobia philosophies. And he said, why when I talk, does everybody agree? I didn't have the exact term for it, but later on, another brother told me it's an unconscious bias that they're agreeing with. Because unconsciously, they've already been programmed to disassociate themselves from Africa. So then when you say anything in a conversation that helps to, Baba Chief, come up. This is a brother that's working on putting the Garvey statue in out of the Bible with the African Union. He's doing good work. This brother Kamal here. But what I've noticed is, but he helped me, there's an unconscious bias in the minds of people of African descent whenever you say something that further disassociates themselves from Africa. So if you can just say, something wild, like this brother is teaching that, so in 1537, a Spanish conquistador wrote a comic book science fiction novel about the Queen of California called Khalifa with her Black Amazon warrior queens that flew on griffins to help fight the battles of the whatever.
Yep. And they're gonna say we come from.
They're saying this is actual, but it's a comic book that the Spanish wrote in the 1600s. Now you're saying this is Black history, and this is what we have instead of actually documenting history. You've heard this discussion, brother?
These are these are charlatans. And this is what they tried to say Garvey was, because there's too many charlatans. But Garvey was the real deal. You know, people that they're hustling you based on your ignorance, because most people don't want to put in the work to do the research for themselves. So they're going to agree with the person that is the most charismatic and speaks to the biases they already have, as opposed to doing the research. So like they're looking for a get out of Africa free card. And the Moorish, Hebrew, you know what I'm saying, Moabite, indigenous, Turtle Island. What else? And I vibe with the Moors, like real Moors. See, this is the thing. Like, you could be a true real Moors and real Hebrews. They don't deny their Africanness.
Wait, Brother Kamal,
they acknowledge that part too.
Brother Kamal,
but it's just,
can you hear them?
These Mayan, Olmecan. I'm sorry. Yeah, what's up? I can't hear.
Oh, you still can't hear. But Sister Stats.
No, I can hear it now.
Oh, he can hear you now.
Okay. Awesome. I just wanted to as you're saying that, I wanted to welcome Balboa up to the channel, because he definitely popped up. And if she has any questions or anything that she wants to interject into that, I definitely want to give her the space to do so. Welcome up, Balboa.
So I wanted to make sure I understood. I saw that the caption says Garvey's son.
Yes. Yeah, Dr. Julius Garvey. Yeah, I'll show you. This is Dr. Julius Garvey here. We are working with Dr. Julius and under the blessing of him and the family to get this statue erected and installed at the African Union.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
So yeah, I know that I don't know if you just came on, but yeah, Marcus Garvey was born in 1887. This is his oldest son. He had two sons, Marcus Garvey Jr., who actually just passed in 2020 in December. He was about 91 or 92. And then this is Dr. Julius Garvey here. He was born in 1933. So he'll be 88 soon. So Marcus Garvey had his children later in life. So that's not a miss.
I know. You know what I was?
We have not.
I was like,
we have not misspoken.
Like, because that's kind of old. Hey, so
brother,
I have a question.
This is why you gotta take care of yourself, man.
Yeah. But I have a question. The brother that's here in DC, that's his grandson, right?
There may be a brother in DC that's his grandson, but I don't know him. What? I don't know him. I just know Dr. Garvey is in New York. He's based in New York, so that's who I know. Oh. I know Dr. Garvey. I know Dr. Garvey, and I'm in communication with one of Dr. Garvey's daughters. So that would be Marcus Garvey's granddaughter. But other than that, if he's in DC, shoot, that's news to me. I like to holler at him.
Now I'm really okay. The name will come to me soon, because I always see him, but I never call him by name. So
he might, people got a lot of kids. People got big families. So
the guy that's always talking UNIA, he used to hold events next to Sinbad all the time when he would bring Runoko Rashidi and them into town.
Are you talking about Baba Senghor?
Yeah, Baba Senghor.
Oh, he's not related to Garvey, but he was head of the UNIA. He
always said he was working with. Did he say?
Yeah, he does. He knows Dr. Garvey too. But yeah, Baba Senghor, he was, the UNIA does still exist. It's nowhere near, the organization it once was in terms of scope and impact, but they still exist. I mean, some of the different local chapters, they have supported us and supported this effort. In fact, Dr. Yao Davis, his parents were in the UNIA. Yao Davis, who was the one who initiated this effort, my mentor, leader of the Pan-African Technical Association, he actually initiated this effort. He grew up in the UNIA. So some of the people who just came I want to replay the video of, it's a short video just of the sculpture so they can see. And I want to just go to the donation page just so they can see that. Also, there's a tour.
This is a sculpture that's done by an African man versus a Chinese man for Martin Luther King. So the Martin Luther King statue that's here in DC was done. The Greeks got together and they paid China something like $2 million or something on that level to do the statue. So this is a statue of Marcus Garvey that is being created by a man of African descent.
Yeah, and the author, the sculptor, his name is Nigel Lloyd Benz. He's based out of Los Angeles, California. He's done several sculptures. He actually has commissioned one already to Ethiopia that we did in 2016 of John Robinson, who, as I said, was a pilot who actually flew in defense of Ethiopia against the Italians. He's an African-American brother, went to Ethiopia when Italy invaded and helped to fly the emperor and around Ethiopia during that time. He also, after the war, I didn't mention earlier, after the war, he went back to, after World War II, he went back to Ethiopia and brought a team of African-American pilots and technicians. And they trained the first pilots, some of the earliest pilots in Ethiopia, some of the commanders of the Ethiopian Air Force, and those people who went on to start Ethiopian Airlines. So Ethiopian Airlines owes a lot of its initial beginnings, if you will, and the training of its initial people to African Americans. So this is the legacy that we, and as I shared, Garvey was talking about Black people from here going back to Africa, bringing our skills, especially our technical skills, especially technical skills, back to Africa.
So we have a few, Brother Jones, this brother right here is working on a project to get the Marcus Garvey statue into the UN in Addis Ababa in August of this year. And he's just letting us know about the project and telling us how we can be involved, or even just informing us that it's being done. And this is like a great moment in Black history. Yeah,
so our goal is to raise $39,000.
Doing well.
We've raised about 10 to 12,000 because that's the cost of the sculpture and what it's going to cost us. We're going to need some, yeah.
Okay, one of the sisters, I'm sorry if you have, that's just the way the app works, brother. A sister just asked, how can they get involved again? I know you were going over that.
So two of the best ways to get involved. You can go to marcusgarveybronze.org and you can donate here. You just click on donate now and you'll click on this PayPal link. If a person donates $1,000 or an organization donates $1,000, they actually can get their name on the plaque. That's going to be that will be on the sculpture. So that is one incentive. We have some other incentives, but to be honest, I don't know all of them. That's the main one. And it says Pan-African Technical Association. That's the fiscal sponsor for this. They have a 501c3, so you will. This is tax deductible. Your donation is tax deductible. So that's one way. Another way is you could join us in Ghana and Ethiopia this summer, from August 13th to August 24th. We have a tour, and there's a tour, and the third way. So this is all on the website. This is the itinerary. We're spending about 4 days in Ethiopia, 6 days in Ghana, 2 meals a day. The total cost is $3,990. If you did want a single room supplement, it's $360 additional. And we've set aside time in both Ethiopia and in Ghana to have a Marcus Garvey Pan-African Education Symposium. So we're partnering with Addis Ababa University, and University of Ghana. And this is being sponsored by True Culture University, who is one of our partners. And so we have basically 2 or 3 hours set aside, one day in Ethiopia and one day when we're in Ghana to interact with Pan-Africanists, students, repatriates, and others, and kind of focus on these 5 topics here. Global African governmental system, creation of a global African trade infrastructure, African commercial free trade area, global African education system, and the state of the African space industry. Which that last one's very interesting. Miles Henderson, he came up with these topics. This is like my brother right here for real. He's a great guy. He puts in so much work. And yeah, everyone, our team, they're great. I'm just happy to do my part. I'm just a part of the team. And so you have a longer description of what the papers are. So we're doing a call for papers. And there's 5 different topics, those like the ones I just mentioned. And here you see the further description. 30 pages is the maximum. Our deadline is July 31st. Okay, these are not, we're still putting that part together. This document that I'm going over here is actually a preliminary document, and it's being finalized as we speak, and the call will officially go out early this week.
Also, you haven't even put calls out for these papers yet.
Not yet. It's
So
going out.
So those of us on this call right now, we actually have an inside scoop. If we wanted to submit a paper.
The call for papers hasn't gone out yet, but the papers are due in June, or is the call going out?
No, July 31st. My bad. Not June. July 31st.
Did say July. So they're due July 31st.
Yeah. Not June. Not June.
Is there any way you could create like a one sheet for all this? The information about the statue, about the call for papers.
We have one. I just have to. We have a few 1-pagers, but not. So it's like, yeah, I'll create one. Long story short, I'll create one and get it to you. We have a couple 1-pagers, but they're not. They're for different things, if you will. It's not everything's not on 1 page. Like we have a 1 page for the tour, a 1 page for the conference, and a 1 page for the project. But we haven't put all of that onto 1 page. So
I think it's a little bit too much to put on 1 page, unless you do like 3 sentences per topic, and then if you did that, it won't even do it justice.
Well, the 1 page that we can do is we can just have it be the bronze. Have 1 page that just focus. It'll say the bronze, donate, the tour you can go on, and then the conference papers, because those are the 3 components. So those are the 3 different ways that one could get involved if they wanted to. They could write a paper, they could donate, they can come on a tour, and they can do all 3. But they can pick 2.
That's what's up. So Balboa.
Now, in terms of submitting the papers, we haven't put the submissions platform up yet. So if people want to get in contact with me, they can email me directly. My personal email, kamal03@gmail.com, or they can find me on Instagram. At the Communiversity. So I'll put it in the chat.
No, it's all. I got it down there, brother. They can't access it.
So the Communiversity, it only has 1 M. So yeah.
Wait, let me bring it up and put it on the screen though. Wait, what's before? Yeah.
Oh, and I'm I'm sorry, y'all. My security features are probably preventing you from being able to screenshot it because people like to take unsavory pictures of people.
Actually, Marcus Garvey, it's either marcusgarveybronze.org or marcusgarveybronze.com. It goes to the same thing. The official one is Marcus Garvey Bronze.
Do you see what the one I posted already, Queen Stats? Huh?
Oops.
Bars. I just posted the email down there. Okay, we'll talk later.
I got you.
All right. So we're gonna get it together, brother, where we're able to give people the information they need in order to contact you, and then
I can send you whatever you need from me to send to them.
All right, and then I definitely want to work with you some more on like some different fundraising ideas, and just participate as much as I can to help out. And I might even be interested in writing a paper. I'm also writing some other stuff against this Afrophobia stuff that I've been working with. So are related to Afrophobia. So that's kind of my work right now as well.
Yeah, I'm sure you can tie that in. But yeah, this is really focused on, us doing the work and strategizing, because Garvey was a chief strategist and practitioner. He was a great speaker, but he also backed it up. Right. So you really do need both.
Hey, this might seem really low vibrational, what I'm about to say, but do you pay attention to social media?
I mean, I'm on social media, but I try not to get caught up into the different back and forths because it's just frustrating.
Brother, do you know this boy, Nature Boy?
Nature Boy sounds familiar, but I don't actually know who that is.
Yeah.
And my batteries and things are actually getting low.
All right, we can go, but I just wanted to say, he compared himself to Garvey, which was sickening.
Well, people don't study. I don't even get mad at people anymore because it's like,
about that topic.
Sure.
They're hustling. I don't know. People are hustling, and they're hustling off of people's ignorance. Like, there's a lot of people that don't read at all. So it's like, if you read one book, you can kind of, and you have charisma, you can pontificate. You'll be able to fool enough people before they find out that you're kind of hollow on the inside.
Yeah.
So, no, you can't compare yourself to Garvey. What have you built? What have you built?
Trust me, you don't even want to know. Trust me.
Garvey was a builder. So if you're not a builder, then you saw the article how many people they were employing.
Brother, you ain't got to tell me. I have respect for Garvey coming out the womb. You ain't got to tell me about that, brother.
So I don't know who
I lost my cool when I heard that statement. I was like, what? So
who is he? What does he do?
He's a buffoon. Just let it roll, brother. It ain't even worth it.
Okay. Respect. He's not one. Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
what is he? Nature Boy Ric Flair?
Don't. Hey, brother, if you don't got it, you don't got it. Ain't no need to go there. Everybody's telling me to get off this statement.
Yeah. Woo! That's him. Nature Boy Ric Flair. All right, I'm sorry. I don't even know who he is. I'm not trying to diss, but that's just funny to me.
All right, but now, brother, so we have been on here for an hour and a half. I know you said an hour. I still said let it flow, but does anybody have any questions for the brother? Some of you got on here late. Some of you been with us for a minute.
I just don't want my thing. I just don't want my thing to die. I have on my phone probably about, so I could probably got about 5 more minutes that I have before. And if my phone dies, then you'll know I didn't mean to end that way. But
I just want the resources so find the resources that we're speaking on. That's all.
Okay. No. The resources. Sister Stats, you were saying?
I was going to say the first one is the website that he was referencing, and that's Marcus Garvey Bronze. I'm kind of type it in the chat as I'm saying it, and it's hard to talk.
So, yeah, Marcus Garvey. I can't really hear everything she's saying.
MarcusGarveyBronze.com has the main website information, and then
Kamal03@gmail.com.
Is it
M-A-L-U? No, KAMAU03
Yeah,
So,
that's just my personal one. Yeah, that I can get back to you the quickest if you just email me personally. If you have like a personal question or you just want more information or just follow up, you can do that.
okay, that's what's up. So, brother, I think that is it for now. We can definitely do this again and talk about, different building strategies, and we can even just talk about Garvey's importance today in time and the importance of this movement. We can definitely need to explore, this new ship that Africa has sent to the Africans in the diaspora in relationship to identifying us as a sixth region, and then trying to extend a hand to incorporate us in the global conversation in African politics. So we definitely appreciate you. I always got mad respect. I always appreciate your work, brother. So definitely. So
I'm happy we're able to link up in this major way.
Yeah, most definitely. So everything you said now is going to be on YouTube, brother. So I hope you know that.
Yeah, I'm cool. I just wish I had better lighting, but it is what it is. It's about the words anyway. I wish I would have shaved a little bit before, but it's all good. I'm here. It's not about me. So yeah, I'm happy to. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. And I just want to say, anyone who's watching this, please visit www.marcusgarveybronze.org. If you go to www.marcusgarveybronze.com, it'll go to the same exact place. So just so you know. And please make your donation. I mean, I had a brother who just donated $50 today. I personally have donated $1,000 to the project so far. And so if you have $10, $5, our goal is to get 39,000. So far, we're at about 12. So you got about 27 more to go. And you guys can be a big help in that. We really appreciate it. If you want to go on the tour, make sure you just go on the website and check out the information there. Get your $100 deposit in ASAP because we do have limited seats and they are filling up. We have about 30 seats and we have over 30 interests right now. Obviously, interest and paying your money is two different things. So if you can show how interested you really are by donating. By putting your $100 deposit in. And yeah, call for papers. Right now, we haven't put out the official call yet, but keep checking the website. Email me personally if you're interested in a call for papers. So that way, or anything, if you're interested, you can email me at kamal03@gmail.com and I'll follow up with you.
On that note and on that level, I'll definitely touch out with you. Everybody is saying light and love. Thank you. Appreciate your work, brother. And actually, I want to I could probably do some street kind of hustling in reference to fundraising, because I do some street vending activities. So I can definitely put that on the agenda and just put something out, put the PayPal, information up on my table and whatnot. So help out in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely appreciate it. I guess I forgot the last thing I want to say. You guys can, follow me on Instagram. I have a platform that I'm building out as well. It's in the beginning stages called the Communiversity. So at the Communiversity, and Communiversity is spelled with one M. So you can do that and just trying to be a bridge between the university and the community and just get our people into very interesting experiential learning and cross-cultural exchange experiences. And so trying to get more interest. So follow me at the Communiversity on all platforms.
Also, everybody follow me on YouTube at Cosmic Afro Priest. So this is where the video is going to be posted. And that's what it is. All right, brother. I'm going to keep the panel open, but blessings. And then we'll be up. I'm going to contact you maybe a little bit later today or definitely this weekend so we can strategize.
Okay, definitely, man. Just hit me up.
All right, family.
Appreciate it, and everybody enjoy.
All right.
Have a good one.